Maybe. Welcome to TWIG, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show that tackles everything from Direwolves to Nintendo's price increases with some games in between. I am Nerd Pastor Nate. I am really the pastor of Checkpoint Church, a real-life church online designed with nerds, geeks, and gamers in mind. If you're listening on the podcast version of the show, be sure to go give us a good review. Click that like over on YouTube, or come and listen live on twitch.tv and YouTube every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Folks, as always, we're going to be starting this one with our what you've been watching, what you've been playing, what you've been reading, and I'm going to let our guest introduce themselves and say what they have been watching, playing, and reading to get us started.
Sure thing. So I'm David Petty, pastor in the Methodist Church and leader of Crossfire Faith and Gaming. And I have been rewatching some of The Last of Us, the TV show that came out on HBO in preparation for the new season that's coming up. Of course, I've played through all the games and just love it. But rewatching some of The Last of Us, also watched Shrinking over on Apple TV. I know not super nerdy, but a great show. And then just now getting into Parks and Rec, which, you know, I'm way behind the curve. Getting in there, but, you know, needed something I could just kind of watch a lot of easy episodes and, you know, kind of watch in the background while I'm doing dishes or doing whatever around the house. So that's kind of what I've been watching lately. And then let's see, playing a lot of Rocket League is kind of my go-to, you know, easy pickup, play for 5 minutes. You know, I'm literally losing a match in the background right now, but that's okay. And then I started playing and then I was like, oh, I gotta go. So yeah, Rocket League, playing some Subnautica, which I've gotten to a point where I'm almost done with the story, but I'm kind of frustrated because I know I need like 5 more hours of grinding if I want to finish it. So that's where I'm at with Subnautica. And then playing an Eco game, which for anybody not aware of Eco, it is a global multiplayer global survival game where you're basically playing in a 30-day real-time server, and at the end of 30 days a meteor is going to come and destroy the earth, and so you're trying to figure out if you can build a laser to destroy the meteor, but that requires civilization advancement, kind of like in Civilization. So the question is, can you advance civilization enough to build the laser in time to destroy the meteor and do it all while not destroying the planet because you're greedy and want to do it too fast? So a fascinating social experiment on a server with like 500 other people. And so, yeah, so that's been what I've been playing. And just picked up and started playing a little bit of Pacific Drive, just the first like hour or so.
Oh, nice.
So, and then let's see, last but not least, reading. As a pastor, I do not get nearly enough time for reading as I, you know, lead my normal church, and I got to read a lot of stuff that's not necessarily reading for fun. But, you know, reading a lot of scripture and, you know, commentaries, things like that. But I did start reading A Man Called Ova after, you know, a while ago I saw the movie A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks, and my sister recommended, she said the book's actually way better than the movie, so you should read that. So I've been reading that. And then I know it's, again, not too nerdy. And then staring at me on my desk over here is the copy of the TMNT, the IDW collection, which I have been meaning to start for many, many months and have not yet cracked open because I really want like a solid couple hours to just sit down and do that. So
very good.
That's me and what I've been up to. What about you?
I've been up to a good bit, but I will say I agree with your sister's review of A Man Called Ova. I thought it was so good. The movie was okay, but the book was very, very, very good. And I especially enjoyed the audiobook. Really well performed and just a great presentation of a book.
J.K. Simmons, right?
Yeah.
I think he reads
that I recommend it anytime. So I read it at a really pivotal time in my like ministry. I was a student pastor. So I was at Duke while serving a rural church. And the thing about a rural church is that sometimes they might be a little bit established in their ways. And so I had some pretty rough couple of years with some of the members of the church that just, we butt heads. And I started to develop a little bit of like ageism. And this book ripped me to pieces. Like I was like, oh, okay. I have a problem with people that I need to work out. But it is not rooted in their age as my brain is telling me. So it helped me work out of a funk at a pretty pivotal time. And I just thought It's fun. It's writing. I've read everything by Frederick Bachman since then. So now I have his full suite. Every time he writes a new book, I pick it up. I've read his short stories at this point. Like, I am addicted to the guy. So I just love his writing style.
Wonderful.
It's very fun. I have been not watching too much. I'm trying to start the spring anime. They all just dropped this week, but honestly, I haven't had time to pick up a single one of them. I've been playing a lot of games in the background, I've been playing games and like their podcast games. So I've been watching Let's Plays in the background. So I've been playing Phantom Pain, and by that I mean watching Phantom Pain while I play Atom Fall, which is the like Fallout clone that dropped on Game Pass a couple weeks ago. I am addicted to Fallout. I love Fallout 3 and 4. And so whenever I heard that Atom Fall was like a British Fallout, I was like, sure, I'll try it. It is and it isn't. I think it was a little bit more survivally than I really wanted from my like Fallout experience. It wasn't really as narrative heavy. The narrative was fun, but it wasn't a Fallout narrative. Like, I think you can talk to maybe 8 characters in Atom Fall, whereas like whenever I think about Fallout, I think about like all of the depth of characters along the way.
So many characters.
Yeah, so I think that Atom Fall did not live up to the hype for me, but it was fun, and it was a good enough time to sink into. Maybe I think I logged like 14 hours, so not too bad. We also played our Digging a Hole game for the Button Bash Brigade, so our video game club over at Checkpoint. That is the game we picked for this month. It's incredibly short, incredibly silly, and I wound up burning through it in a single evening. A silly game. I think maybe like a lot of people hyped it up and they probably shouldn't have, because it's definitely not a game that needs hyping. It's a goofy time. It's a good stream game. I think it'd be a great game to just stream with people.
You do dig a hole though, right?
You dig a hole. You dig a hole. You buy a house where there's treasure at the bottom of your backyard, and so you dig a hole to find it, and that's the game. It's wacky. So that, and then I'll talk about this again in the upcoming games or upcoming things that I'm excited for. But everybody in my space of like game reviewers and publishers and game devs, like all the podcasts that I listen to, they all are talking about this game called Blueprints, and it dropped today on Game Pass, and I've already logged like 4 hours. Everybody keeps talking about how good it is, and so I was like, there's no way it's this good, but I need to know. And so far, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good game. If you like puzzle games, if you're a fan of Obra Dinn, if you're a fan of Outer Wilds, if you're a fan of Gone Home, it kind of feels like those all mashed together. But for me, I could never get into Outer Wilds because it was such a mess trying to control. This game, incredibly crisp. Knows exactly the type of game it wants to be. You're never going to be frustrated with the gameplay of Blueprints. Does an exceptional job. I'm not going to say any more about it for lack of trying to spoil anything, but the basic gist is that you are an inheritor to a fortune, but the only way that you can access that fortune is by reaching the 46th room in your grand uncle's 45-room mansion. And so you are tasked with trying to find the room. And the mystical element is that every day you have a certain number of rooms that you can explore, a certain number of steps that you can take. But every day the rooms change. So it's a roguelike sort of experience where every day that you enter, the rooms have moved around, and that's like a thing. So that's a part of the world. It's not like the game is doing that. The world is doing that. It actually does reset every day. World building is exceptional. Gameplay is exceptional. Puzzles are so good. I have been so satisfied. I got to stop talking about it because I'll geek out about it all night. But I was very skeptical. It's pretty good. And then I am reading Way of the Many for the book club this month. And I am getting back into reading One Piece. I had to catch back up with about 20 chapters, so I'm almost caught up. I'm reading a book on mysticism, reading The Sun Was Electric Light, and reading AI Shepherd and Electric Sheep. So all those boring ministry books. Yeah, lots and lots of those going on. Let me go ban this person real quick. Bye-bye. No thanks. No streamers. I don't want any streamers paid for. Yeah, so there we go. That's what I've been getting into. I saw in the chat a couple of things going on there. Wizen has been playing or just started South of Midnight. I am so excited for that game, and I really want to play it. It was next on my list if Blueprints was not good, but it's good, unfortunately. So Atom Fall wrapped up, and now Blueprints. And probably whenever I'm done with Blueprints, then I'll start up South of Midnight because I very much want to play that. Also working on Assassin's Creed Shadows and have been reading The Guns of August. Very fun. Yeah, lots of good stuff going on there. Well, do let us know if you have anything that you've been watching, playing, and reading and want to drop in the chat. I would love to hear what's going on. But without further ado, we're going to get into some of the trending news for this past week. The first one having to do with the Nintendo Switch 2. So we all had that big direct that we all turned into and saw the price tags and got a little bit concerned, and Nintendo has responded. So Nintendo is standing by the $80 price tag for Mario Kart World, a Switch 2 launch title, claiming its scale and depth justify the cost despite backlash. During a recent interview, Nintendo's Bill Trinan emphasized that pricing reflects content and value. It's not a broader pricing strategy. The company is offering a limited time bundle pairing the game with a new Switch 2 console for $500, effectively reducing the game's cost by $30. But this deal may change due to the US tariff complications. Several Switch 2 upgraded titles like Tears of the Kingdom and Kirby and the Forgotten Land also carry a higher price point, unless, of course, the players opt for a $10 upgrade path or Nintendo's online expansion membership. While fans have voiced concerns about affordability, especially as potential tariffs loom, Nintendo maintains its approach to value-driven, prioritizing what each game delivers rather than aligning with competitor pricing. This was definitely what I was expecting, but I do think that knowing that the upgrades from the base game to the full game on Switch 2 is going to be $10 is exactly what PlayStation did. I assumed that whenever we were watching the Direct, and I'm not so upset about the $80 price tag. I don't know if you are or not, but what have been your experiences with the Switch 2 here?
Yeah, I just kind of watched it, took it in. I've generally not had a lot of opinions about it. I'm kind of a wait and see what happens. I do think that the price tag is probably justified, but it's it's one of those you got to wait and see what it looks like. Wait and see if the hardware upgrades are really worth it. The $80 price tag for games I think is probably a long time coming. And will easily justify when titles like Grand Theft Auto come out and they're going to say, hey, it's $100. And everybody goes, well, that's, it's only $20 more expensive than Mario Kart World. But yeah, I think also the tariff complications, nobody knows what things are really going to cost once they actually ship. So I think the Switch 2, like I said, long time coming, 8 years in the making, waiting for the Switch 2 since Switch 1. So yeah, I'm going to wait and see what people think, wait and see how people like it. Also curious about the mouse feature.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's mostly, but it's Nintendo doing what Nintendo does best. And they're saying, hey, we're just going to do more of it. And they're not iterating anything new or different. It's it's just the Switch, but better. So
yeah,
I do think though, the most interesting thing is the Piranha Plant camera. Which was just recently announced that it's only going to be 480p if you get the Piranha Plant camera for your Switch 2, which feels like in 2025, not enough resolution, just in my opinion.
The second that I saw that I think the cameras are $40, and I was like, oh, that's not expensive enough. They definitely need to be charging more for their webcams. So they are going old school webcam technology, which I don't know why, but they have they've always had interesting accessories on Nintendo consoles, and they've never necessarily been the nicest. I know I will be a day oneer for the Nintendo Switch 2. I will be pre-ordering it as soon as it's available for pre-orders. I think that the pause on the tariff situation does have me interested in are they going to get back on board with pre-orders now, or are they still going to wait? I think it's a 90-day pause on the tariffs. So that is the Switch 2 will already be out in 90 days, so I think it's fine. We should go ahead and do the pre-orders. It sounds like nothing's going to change by launch date, so there's no reason not to release it. But I am not the person in charge of making that decision, so it'll be what it'll be. But they were supposed to go live yesterday with pre-orders, wound up postponing, and we haven't heard anything since then about when and if they will re-up on those. But I'm excited, and I will definitely be getting it. I love Mario Kart, and I think that an $80 price tag is not that much more. I think that's pretty reasonable as far as the game itself. And for me, it comes down to The console itself is the big like upfront cost, and then the games are just going to be what they are going to be. My bigger, not worry, my bigger gripe with Nintendo is that they never put their games on sale. And so they might do the like buy 3 games for, the voucher system. They do that every now and again. But like you can't ever find them on sale, whereas Steam is their, their sales that happen
is always
3 or
on
4
sale.
times a year, and you can go get a game for like $4. So it's hard to compare the two.
Definitely tough. Definitely tough. Yeah, it's
And then
Steam.
indie games.
I
Indie
think that's
games
the
throw
reason why
everything.
my Steam backlog is so big.
Yeah. I don't know how much that Blueprints game costs, but like it has already been one of the most fun games that I've played of the year, and it probably is maybe $25, $30 if I had to guess. So
I'm looking right now. It's 10% off, $26.99 off the price of $29.99. So would you say it's worth it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And especially in comparison to, I wonder how long Mario Kart I'll actually end up playing versus how long I'll end up playing this game where it's like a constant puzzler. Who could say? And for me, it comes down to the value of the experience more than the value of hours. I'm not the type of gamer that like needs to log 120 hours into a game to say that it was worth it. I want a story that makes me feel something on the other side. And so for me, whether it's a $10 Undertale or whether it is a $60 Tears of the Kingdom, as long as I've had a good experience on the other side of it, that's what I'm really looking for. And hopefully Mario Kart World will take off in the sense that we'll have streams and we'll hang out and I'll play with friends and we'll do the online thing. That's what I want from it. And that's worth $80 to me.
Yeah, especially they're doing something, drastically different with the game. It's not just the next Mario Kart for $80, with the open world and all that kind of stuff. Like, hopefully it'll be, the question is, after it comes out and we've all played it, then will we think it's worth $80?
Right. Yeah. It is going to be an interesting season for sure. And it is sneaking up on us pretty quickly here in June. So we will find out how things play. And I do think, that they mentioned the variable price tag thing. And I feel like that is pretty consistent with Nintendo. Like I can find a lot of Nintendo games that are $40. And then I can find a lot of Nintendo games that are their like full price $60 games. I think that like the Kirby games have historically been $10 to $20 cheaper. And then, they're more expensive, like flagship titles. So yeah, I think that this sounds about right. And now we're just going up $20. So the Kirby games will be the new 60, Mario Kart will be the new 80, and we'll see if they ever go above and beyond that. I can say that for me, I will not be spending $100 on GTA. I've never really played a GTA except for Vice City. That was like the one that I grew up playing, and, never clicked beyond that. So I still have never played GTA 5. I've watched like bits and clips of it, but never been the one for me. I prefer more of like the, like I enjoyed Cyberpunk, and that was one that,
Sure.
I guess they're kind of comparable in the sense that they're like narrative gritty stories, but yeah.
GTA is, the depth of the world in GTA is far bigger, and I will say GTA is hard because it's essentially a satire of the genre that it exists in, which is tough, So there are layers, so, but not for everybody, and that's okay.
Time will tell. Next, we're going to get into some news about a classic in the D&D world retiring. So after nearly 3 decades of shaping Dungeons and Dragons, Chris Perkins has officially retired from Wizards of the Coast. Perkins, who joined in 1997 and became a key creative force behind editions 4 and 5, announced his departure following the release of the new DM guide and D&D's 50th anniversary. Starting his career under the pen name Christopher Zarathustra, maybe Thurstra, he grew into a beloved figure in the tabletop community, notably contributing to iconic content like Curse of Strahd and helping pioneer actual play through shows like Dice Camera and Action. As he steps away, Perkins expressed excitement to return to being a fan, confident the game is in good hands, while the D&D team praised his mentorship and lasting impact on the franchise. I will admit, I am not this deep in the D&D world, but this was shared on our server, and I felt like we should honor the retirement of somebody that spent 3 decades making, an iconic gaming franchise into what it is. Especially like whenever I think about D&D, I think about 5th edition. So it's the one that I'm the most familiar with.
Well, you're definitely deeper than I am. I do not have any depth in D&D other than I know many people who play it, and that's about it. But I agree, big news, somebody retiring. It's definitely worth after 30 years, definitely worth reporting on.
It'll be interesting to see. I feel like the trend right now in this era of gaming is like the Mike, what's his name? We talked about him last week, Mike Morehal, whatever it is, but the guy from Blizzard who has now like made his own studio called Beacon. Like, I feel like that is very much the vibe of these old studio heads are getting tired of like the bigwigs entering into the scene and they're like not on board anymore. And so they're leaving the companies with all of their millions of dollars and they're going and starting a new one to get back to the good old days. And so I wonder if that'll be something that Chris Perkins does, launches something of his own, creates his own franchise, does his own tabletop thing, or even an actual play thing. I think if I were somebody that was a high up at D&D and stepped away from it, that's what I'd use my money for, is trying to make some cool stuff. So time will tell with that one as well. Speaking of time and going back in it, we got one more news story for this trending section.
Yeah, and if it's all right, I'm going to go ahead and read this one. So this one is in a landmark breakthrough for genetic engineering. Colossal Biosciences has announced the birth of 3 genetically modified animals resembling extinct direwolves, Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi, marking the first attempt at a functional de-extinction. They used edited gray wolf DNA based on ancient direwolf genomes, and the company has produced a healthy litter of pups now living under close care in a secret preserve. While these animals aren't exact genetic replicas, only about 15 targeted gene edits mimic direwolf traits. The achievement is being celebrated as a major step towards reviving lost species and understanding evolutionary history. Colossal emphasizes the ethical and scientific care taken in the process and hints that this is just the beginning, with ambitions to bring back the woolly mammoth by 2028 and efforts already underway to support endangered red wolves. So this is fascinating because, this is like basically getting into Jurassic Park territory. It's almost like, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Nate?
Yeah, of course, the iconic quote, right? We were so busy asking if we could that we forgot to ask if we should. It is very much in that like lane of thought. I think that I am, far be it from me to try to put so far of like a hand onto what science can and cannot do. I think, some people have gone so far as to say that this is like science playing God. And so they're saying this is something worse than it needs to be. As a pastor, I don't know I think that might be taking it a little bit far. I think that DNA and the way that we experiment and do science is already a thing that is very human. Maybe I'm wrong and maybe some people will disagree with me there and push back on that, and that's fine. But I think it's an interesting experiment and an interesting thing to see, like, how can we adapt DNA? How can we adapt what we are and who we are evolutionarily, in particular with critters and flora and fauna? I think that maybe with the transhumanist argument, then we start to get into the conversation about playing God, of like messing with our own bodies. Okay, now we've got some questions. But if that ends up being the cure for, cancer or something like that, then maybe we've got an argument. So I don't know. That's where my mind goes when I think about these sciencey things. I think it's cool that they're trying to make a direwolf. I think it's definitely a bunch of nerds. Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi.
And it'll be an interesting question to see where they go with this. Like, what's the end goal? Is it just to have them in a zoo? Is it just to say we could? Is it something that they're eventually going to say, well, maybe we should re-release the direwolves in the wild, and then you've got all sorts of issues, as there already are issues in my backyard of people in various levels of passion about the re-release of wolves in Colorado. But then again, like, what are the other things? Like a woolly mammoth, like that's a big animal. Where are you going to put it? What are you going to do with it?
Unless it's a very small woolly mammoth.
I mean, if it was a pygmy woolly mammoth that was like the size of a like dachshund, I'm all for it. I'd have one of those as a pet in an instant.
Yeah, any kind of teacup animal is the one that I want. I want more of that breed, please. I think I wonder like where they're going to take this and why are we going so far back? We've had animals that are like extinct for a much shorter amount of time, and why would those not be the ones that we would try to, like, we already know they're pretty conducive to the environment. We probably harvested them, and so let's restore those. Like, isn't the white rhino or whatever like super close to extinction, or maybe just got extinct? Like, What are we doing there?
Yeah, definitely those kind of things.
Why would
Maybe
we
it's
not go with a
easier.
more recent animal? Or at least do a dodo bird. I'd like a dodo bird personally. I think
Yeah.
that'd be fun. Recreate
I think
this is what it
I
is. You know what it
feel
is?
like
If you get far enough in, this is Disney's pockets and they want a live action Ice Age. And so they're trying
could
to
be.
recreate the Ice Age animals. And until they get there, they
Could
will
be.
not stop.
Yeah, so you're going to start with a direwolf, and then you're going to go with woolly mammoth, and on from there. But yeah, I definitely feel like there are other animals, and I've heard of other genetic modification stuff that was in the works years ago, where they were looking at like, could we genetically modify mosquitoes to not carry malaria? But then there's a question of like, well, if you genetically modify mosquitoes, you can't put that back in the bottle, right? You can't just decide to undo genetically modifying mosquitoes when they are then out there. So the question is like, how do you keep this at bay? And I do agree with the question of what's the ethical implications, and who's monitoring that?
Right. Yeah, that's been a lot of the conversation. The two conversations that have come out of this ever since Time put it out is how are we observing ethics just beyond saying like we are? Like, what do you mean? How are we doing that? And then the second big one is that people are being dramatic calling this a direwolf. They're like, this isn't a direwolf. This is a thing we made. This is a wolf with genetically modified, genomes. That this is not actually a direwolf. Let's not be dramatic about de-extincting animals. Which may be exactly the reason that they're not bringing back the animals that are more recent, is because that's not actually what they're doing.
Right. I did notice the article said traits that resemble a direwolf, not actual direwolf unextinction, right?
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun going to the comment sections of this one because, every time you go to a comment section of anything, everyone there is an expert all the time. And a lot of genetic experts in the comments recently. And so that's been a good time, is seeing what everyone that is an expert has to say about this, and just real opinions from people with meme trolly names. And somehow I have to take them seriously. Yeah, didn't expect this. Not on my bingo card for this year. So at the very least, we can say this was a surprise and a unexpected thing. I think that the folks over at Checkpoint on our Discord are not about it. They're not having the introduction of a like super hunter back into the world of what we've got going on. So I don't know. Time will tell with this one as well. All three of these are to be seen how they will go out there. Will we get a Switch 2? Will it be the price we want? What will Chris Perkins do next? And will direwolves be roaming among us?
And will we eventually get dinosaurs? Right? Because like that's the ultimate goal, right? Can we just get like, again, a teacup velociraptor? Is that too much to ask?
My problem is that even the little dinosaurs are still real bad.
Yeah.
They're sometimes worse. At least
right. It's like kittens, right? Kittens scratch really rough.
Right. Yeah. Let's not. We do have Jeff Goldblum still with us, so maybe if we can get him to enact his lines in real life, that would be fun. But then the fun.
Well, they say, life finds a way.
It do indeed find a way, and we're gonna find a way now into our quick ad read here. So, hey, nerds, geeks, and gamers, listen up. You've been watching through our nerdy sermons, sharing them, maybe even preaching them from the rooftops, or at least over on your Discord servers. What if I told you there's an even better way to bring these sermons into your community? Introducing Jesus Loves Nerds. This is a Bible study curriculum built from our nerdy sermons, designed for churches, small groups, nerd ministries just like yours. Each study is crafted to help you dive deeper, to spark discussion, and to make faith feel just as engaging as your favorite fandom. Every month, every week, we drop a new study, but every month we drop a free one, complete with scripture, discussion, questions, and reflections that connect nerd culture with the gospel. And like I said, the best part is that one of them is free every month. If you want more, we've got a backlog. Signing up will get access to everything that we have published there on our studies, so there is no shortage of nerdy Bible studies for you. So whether you're a pastor, a small group leader, or just a nerd looking to explore faith in a fresh way, Jesus Loves Nerds is for you. Subscribe now. Start equipping your community to reach more nerds, geeks, and gamers with the message that they matter, God loves them, and so do we. Hit the link over at JesusLovesNerds.com, grab your study, and let's do this. We do love JLN. So, speaking of nerd ministry and Jesus Loves Nerds and the good stuff going on in video game and nerding spaces, we're going to be starting our main segment of TWIG here today with Reverend David Petty from Crossfire Faith and Gaming. We're going to be talking about their camp ministry for our main segment for today, all the exciting things that they've had going on. This is year 3, right? Is this the 3rd year?
Yeah, year 3.
So that's super exciting to get into the 3rd year. You've gotten past the sophomore slump. You did it. You've gotten into the 3rd, whatever it is. And I think that the 3rd album is always a good one. So we've got some good stuff ahead for y'all. Talk to me a little bit about the very beginning of this, some of the origin, or maybe since this will be edited for later, give us the rundown on what is Crossfire first and foremost.
Sure. So Crossfire is an online faith community and kind of a ministry. We do a Discord stream or a Discord channel, Discord server, very similar to what you do here, Nerd Pastor Nate and the Checkpoint folks, but just a little bit different. Our biggest difference, I think, is that one of the main things that we do is we put on summer camps for youth, junior high and senior high. We put on summer camps across the Mountain Sky region, which is kind of Colorado up to Montana. And eventually we're hoping to expand that into some different areas. But for now, that's where we're at. And so, forever ago, we started Crossfire Faith and Gaming with the idea that, we needed some nerd ministry. And I didn't see a lot of nerd ministry out there back in 2017. This was before COVID, so nobody knew that internet churches could be a thing. But we started that and started exploring what it looked like. Eventually it became a Facebook group, then it became a Discord channel or a Discord server, and then it eventually became summer camps. So we found a lot of success and a lot of outreach and a lot of good ministry opportunities in doing our summer camps. And so that's what we're doing now, mainly, as our focus is summer camps.
So where did the camp ministry thing really rise out of? I know you said it was a couple steps down the line, but what do you think it was that germinated that?
Yeah, I think, a long time ago, we talked about it would be neat to try and take this online community and find a way to get it together in person, very similar to the online communities that then have conventions. You've got people playing Minecraft, they get together for a Minecraft convention. You got people that are all over YouTube, they get together for a YouTube convention. The challenge is, when you've got a very dispersed group and it's a relatively small group, how do you get a few hundred people from across the country to eventually come together? So, we didn't really have a good way to gather that group. But then eventually we started talking about the possibility of running like a camp or something like that. And really it was out of my own, seeing my own children and some of their friends say about church summer camps and say, I don't really want to go to summer camp. I'd rather stay home and play video games with my friends. And so I started thinking, well, what if you could do both? What if you could go to summer camp and play video games with your friends? And what if it was kind of a summer camp LAN party for those of you that are older enough to remember LAN parties? So we started playing with that idea. We got hooked up with the Boulder Spirit Foundation, which exists from the sale of a Methodist church camp up in Montana. They loved the idea and they said, hey, we'd love to see this flourish. So we started doing it, and we did it in Denver 3 years ago. And then last year we did it in Denver and Bozeman and Billings. And then this year we're doing Colorado Springs, Denver, Loveland, Fort Collins, Bozeman, and Billings. And I think we're going to do those Bozeman and Billings a couple times. So that's the goal there, is to bring this LAN party experience to people that have sometimes never played games together in person. Kids have played Fortnite together, they've played Rocket League together, they've played Minecraft together, maybe they've played Call of Duty together, but rarely ever in person. And for those of us that are old enough to remember couch co-op games or sitting side by side playing Mario Kart, sitting side by side playing GoldenEye back in the day, we know that there's something to an embodied in-person experience that's hard to replicate in an online experience. So we kind of took that and said, what if we could build a summer camp experience around that concept of in-person and embodied ministry, and then translate the concepts we learned from video games into ministry concepts. So we teach kids about how to be creative because we believe God is creative. We teach kids about how to deal with toxic behaviors online. And what does Jesus say about how to deal with toxic people? Because he had no shortage of that. And how to collaborate and be good team players, how to build communities, all those kinds of things. And so we tie in the scripture along with the games that we're playing and the life lessons that they teach. So that's kind of what we do in 3 to 5 days in our summer camps.
Very cool. That's quite the scale up to get from, just a couple to 6 this year. And then you said maybe a couple times. So that's exciting.
We also expanded, a couple years ago when we started it 3 years ago, we originally had it in a giant gaming arena that could house 150 people. We had huge visions for it. And we had 10 people, which felt like, maybe a huge failure at the time. But really 10 was a good number to manage. Last year we had between 6 and 12 at each of our camps. And this year, we've kind of scaled up our ability to hold a number of people in camps. So this year, we have spots for up to 30 people per camp. Each camp will have, I think, 24 Xboxes, 3 Nintendo Switches, 3 PlayStations, and we're going to be playing on those interspersed with some in-person games and some scripture time and some story time. So that's the camp. So it's scaled up quite a bit. And the question is, what's it going to look like this year? Hopefully good.
Yeah, I think that is the iconic crisis with nerd ministry is we never know how big to plan for, because there's the like dreamed reality of Comic-Con where it's just so much like huger than huge. And so it's easier to overshoot than undershoot. And it feels like more often than not, overshooting to start and then scaling back into what makes sense so that it can grow. But that's exciting. So talk to me about some of the, go ahead.
I was going to say that leads into your next question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So talk about some of the highlights there, some of the things that that might have come out of these past couple of years that have led towards this growth.
Yeah, I think a quick highlight, last year for our Denver camp, we were gearing up for 12 kids. We ended up only having 6. And at the time we felt like, 6 was just almost not enough to have camp. We were really worried about it going into the week. Like, I don't know, 6 kids, we got 3 counselors, 6 kids. That's just way too many counselors and not enough kids. And what is this going to look like? But those 6 kids got so much out of that camp. They had such a great experience. They built such good bonds with each other. And so it was just wonderful to see that reaffirmation that it's really not about the size of the crowd, but about the depth of the ministry, right? Can you reach one person? And can you reach the next person? And, it's really not, sometimes in church world, I think we get stuck in trying to build big crowds rather than trying to build really deep relationships, trying to build really deep faith. So that was a good affirmation for me to say, no, let's go for depth and not breadth. I don't want 100 people who don't get much out of the camp. I'd rather get 6 people that get a lot out of the camp. So some of the biggest, most memorable moments from the camp are watching kids who have literally never played games in the same room as other people play, in this case, a 3v3 Rocket League, or, play through Super Smash Bros. Tournament where we stack them up on teams and they have stocks and they take them off of each other, and watching the camaraderie and the team building that happens in that room. And then also watching kids who have never experienced anything about the gospel. They've never heard any scripture. Maybe they've even been turned off by church because somebody told them like church is just this thing that's judgy and it's full of old people. And they're getting to know the stories of Jesus. They're getting to understand the stories of God's people. And they're doing it in a way that's comfortable, in a way that's natural for them, rather than saying, go to this place where it's unfamiliar, in this building that looks strange, full of old people singing hymns you don't know. Instead, they get to engage in faith in their own way. And so I think it's a great introduction for people to experience faith, sometimes for the first time.
Yeah. We don't have to go down this road if you don't necessarily want to, but that's my thought process on this whole crisis of like the loneliness epidemic and what we're seeing in young people right now. And like, as a young person myself, like my problem is not my cell phone. And I'm so tired of people telling me that my problem is my cell phone. My problem is that everything is designed to be marketed at me. Instead of a thing that I can be a part of, instead of like I can be a part of a small group of friends or a community. And that is what is so edifying, and what should be edifying through the church is like the church doesn't need to have hundreds of thousands of people sign up for their event so that they can get better sales, so they can partner with Walmart or whatever. Like, we should be funding things through ourselves, that it doesn't matter if it's 6 people. That is going to be the impact that we're going to have, not the numbers that we're trying to reach for some kind of mindless marketing purpose. And so it's centralizing our community aspects, which is, to me, a much more effective way of combating the loneliness epidemic than just blaming technology. Instead, utilize it, adapt it, and turn it into something really exciting.
Absolutely.
So let's turn to that then. Technology is very much a part of this, and this is something that has been working. So why do you think that is? How do you think that gaming is the conduit? What have you seen as far as like the games that are building that camaraderie, or the moments that are happening that you see like the friendship click? You know what I mean? Like what's happening there?
Yeah. I mean, some of it is natural and understandable once you draw the conclusions, right? Like we've been using games to teach stories at camps for generations. It's just, it used to be volleyball or, prisoner in or whatever you call it, or it was, some game we were playing in the pool, or it was capture the flag, but now instead of running around in activities that sometimes are excluding to people who might have differences in ability levels, or perhaps differences in natural social interaction levels, instead we've got this activity that is just using technology, right? And so we're still playing games, we're still teaching lessons, we're just doing it in a way that is more natural for people in today's world. And for those people who can, we are still doing in-person physical things. We're taking them outside, we're still running around for when we can. So it's not just all 8 hours in person in front of a screen. But I do think that because it's a language that people speak, because it's a place where people enjoy their own kind of comfort level, their guards down a little bit, they're more open to interacting, they're more open to lessons. And then you can take the things that are already built into these games. So a great one is like Overcooked. Overcooked is a game that really requires teamwork. It requires team building. It requires communication. It requires building each other up. You can't start yelling at each other and saying, "Oh, you idiot! You're not doing it right." And so, how do you then teach that lesson of like, how do we treat one another, which is a natural part of so much of Jesus's message is like, how do we treat one another as human beings, as beloved children of God, and not treat one another as enemies, right? How do we see each other as friends and not enemies? So yeah, we've seen a lot of great stuff through like games like Overcooked. We played Spider Heck, which is a wonderful game, which kind of forces that toxicity. So you say, okay, well, how do you deal with toxicity when you're playing Spider Heck and all of a sudden your spider drops into lava because you got hit with a lightsaber and you're frustrated? We've seen the creative games like Minecraft and Ultimate Chicken Horse, which is a phenomenal family game. If anybody out there is looking for a family game to play with a variety of age levels in their family, or a variety of skill levels, because even if you're great at games, you might not be great at Ultimate Chicken Horse. Playing games like Rocket League, right, which is like a sports-based game, but it requires kind of teamwork and team building in that. And then the things you can do in Minecraft, because it's such a creative game. You can do almost anything in Minecraft, and you can have collaborative building experiences and talk about world building and how we are part of and this is literally like hopefully this is not a spoiler for anybody, but this is kind of the message of the Minecraft movie, right? Is like, you can build a world in Minecraft. You can also build a world in the world. And God invites us into world building as people who are co-creators with God of creating the world around us. So how do we create a good world in a place where, perhaps people are trying to create a world that's the most profitable for them? So those are some of the cool lessons we've experienced and taught kids through the use of technology. And it's a natural place for them to get those lessons where, perhaps saying, open up this 1,500 page book and let's read these paragraphs might take a little bit of time before they feel like that's an exciting thing.
Very good. Well, I'm already getting a flood of emails of folks angry about spoiling the Minecraft movie. They were very excited about that one.
I know.
It's all they've been able to think about. It's movie of the summer, blockbuster hit,
Now they know it's about world building. I'm sorry.
It's a big deal. That's great. I love that. And I think that Minecraft is one that has clicked for us as well. That was, I think that is an easy place, not an easy place. It is an effective place to start for anyone wanting to do this kind of work of digital or nerd-based ministry or gaming-based ministry. A realm is so easy to start. A server is a little bit more challenging, but regardless, if you got tech-savvy people, you might be down to explore it. But I found that was a moment that clicked for me of like, love it or leave it with the love languages, like the ability of like gifts of service and doing for someone. There were people that were able to use their gifts and their talent to create things on Minecraft that immediately, as soon as we opened up our realm, were making me things. Like they were making things for Checkpoint and for Nerd Pastor Nay. They were making a church. They were making, like we had one person that tried their darndest to create Wayne Manor, just this humongous Wayne Manor for Batman. And like, it's just it's a thing that people are able to use their time for that doesn't feel like a waste of time, but instead an effective way of loving other people that we just don't get to do too often. So What better
Well,
way?
and I love that the Minecraft, and the way that we use it, we've got a Minecraft server that's running a build called Geyser. So essentially, it's both a Bedrock and a Java edition Minecraft world, so you can log in on any console or any PC, either edition of Minecraft. And we have got both a creative and a survival server. And we took the kids at the camp into the creative world, and we had them work on a creative project where they built something. And it was neat because it then is a persistent world, right? They can log in once the week is done. They're done with the Crossfire camp. They can log in and they can see that thing that they built. They can share it with people. They can still exist in that community. Unlike an in-person summer camp, like where you're going away to a mountaintop and you're having a great mountaintop camp experience, and like maybe you're going to stay connected with those kids, but maybe not. But instead, we've created this persistent world, and through our server, you can just continue to interact with people. And so it's been a really, really beautiful thing to see that kind of continuous creativity go forward. So have you been in our Minecraft server yet, Nate?
So I am not a Minecrafter. Like we
Oh, okay.
they got me into the realm as a means to, like, they wanted a realm, and so I was like, sure, we'll start one. But I have never, like, historically before that played Minecraft, and I am not somebody that seeks it out. But
Okay.
I'm sure it's fascinating. I'm always intrigued by the people that are in this world, even if I am not necessarily one of them. I've got my narrative gaming stuff. I'm not big in the sandbox games, but
Right. Yeah, it is tough, especially for the narrative gamers. We found some struggles there with people who are like, all right, well, I'm done with Minecraft because I beat it. Like, well, no, now go build something. It's like, no, I beat the story.
yeah, I make little micro stories
Dragon, I'm done.
where I have like a house to build. And so I will go and I will build a house. And then once that house is done, my little narrative journey is over. But that is very much like my train of thought is I am creating this little micro narrative for myself. My imagination is at play. I make the thing. I'm done with the thing. And then a couple months later, somebody will be like, you need to log back in the realm. And I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go build a house. And then I'll do it again. And the story's over. And
Go find a new adventure. Go build a new house.
That's it.
Nice.
So we already talked a little bit about the overshot in the first year, and that was a lesson that y'all learned. But are there any other notable challenges, or maybe even in the leap from year 2 to year 3 now? What is a lesson you're taking with you going forward?
Doing stuff's hard. I'm just gonna put that out there. Doing stuff is hard. But also, if you've got a good team around you, you can do really hard stuff and you can do really cool stuff. And I think, doing hard stuff is often worthwhile. When we first started the camp idea, the original idea was that it was going to be an overnight camp at a church. We were going to have to rent a shower trailer. We were going to rent, a shower and bathroom trailer because the church we were at didn't have showers, and we didn't think about that. And it was going to be this whole thing, but it was going to be very challenging and very expensive. And eventually we just kind of pivoted and scaled back and said, okay, what if it's just an in-person day camp? Because all the kids who are registering are coming from that city. And, we pivoted, we totally changed the concept. So that's another thing. I think just being flexible in whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your ministry is or wherever you're serving, you're going to think things are going to go one way and God will throw you a curveball, and, you just adapt and you change. But good ministry is good ministry, and it's worth doing. Other lessons, I think, really be flexible is probably the biggest thing that we've learned. There have been almost every single day, almost every single camp, there's been something that didn't go the way that we expected it would. The first year, like I mentioned, we didn't do the overnight camp thing. We totally pivoted, and that worked well. The second year, everything was going great, except that the church that we were at that said, yes, we've got great high-speed internet. And when I was there and I tested it, it was great. That didn't work. And their internet infrastructure just did not work for us. So we literally had to go out and buy a new router and set up our own mini network to then connect into their network. And that was a whole learning experience. And then day 3, literally Minecraft updated their server. Minecraft servers updated, which then meant that the geyser build that we were using needed to update, which meant that the client sides needed to update. And it was a whole thing that that entire day we couldn't play Minecraft because the server had updated. So we were flexible again. We totally changed. We totally pivoted. And I would say, there's been a number of times that it's like, you cannot be rigid in trying to do ministry, because it's just going to take, some creativity and some stick-to-itiveness to just come up with a new creative way to do the thing you're trying to do when your plans don't go according to plan.
There There you go. I think that's a lesson anybody can take with them, regardless of if you're called to gaming and nerd ministry or just any form of ministry or any kind of anything. I think that people that want to do big stuff or create community or engage people, that is something you need to know and need to figure out for yourself.
Just life, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes life doesn't go the way you want, and you got to adjust.
Yeah, before the recording of this, I talked about my daughter's daycare closing, and now we got to figure out life with a kid that's going to be around until we get more daycare. So you manage, you do.
I mean, we all lived through COVID, right? Like COVID happened and totally changed every plan that we ever had, and we figured it out.
We figured it out and we keep on doing it. Well, as we close up this segment, how can people support you or join alongside you or actually come to the camp or volunteer for the camp? What's the best way for folks to get involved with Crossfire camps?
Yeah. So the really easy thing is, crossfire.camp is our domain name. If you go to crossfire.camp, then you'll see all of the information about our summer camps, all of the information about the different weeks that we're going to be there. If you click on the find out more, there's also a button at the top for people to donate. If they want to donate of their time, they can contact me and they can let me know if they're in the area and they want to come swing by and help out. Or financial donations. This year we're charging money for the camps. Last year they were free. We're trying to figure out how to make our budget work and all that kind of stuff. But it's about $100 per camper. And so if people want to donate money to help support a camper or sponsor a camper, they can click that donate button and donate $100, and that'll sponsor an entire camper. So that's a wonderful way. And then, if you've got youth that live in the area, junior high and senior high youth that are in the Front Range area, Colorado Springs all the way to Fort Collins, or up in Montana, or even if they just want to fly into Denver and come attend the camp, let us know. And you can do that, and you can register for camps on the website there as well at crossfire.camp. So that's probably the easiest way to support Crossfire camps and attend Crossfire camps is all the info there at crossfire.camp. And obviously, even if you can't do all those things, you can keep us in your prayers. We're going to do all these camps. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be different. But stuff's going to not go the way we think. And we would love to have your prayers and praying for us as we change and as we adapt and figure out how to move forward in those changes. So those are probably the best ways you can support us.
Wonderful. Well, that'll wrap our main segment here. So thank you for being on the show and appreciate you sharing with us about Crossfire camps.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Well, now we're going to hop over into our next segment, which is, of course, everybody's favorite game, which is Cryptic Critiques. So it's time for everybody's favorite game, Cryptic Critiques. This is the game of bad reviews for beloved games. I've scoured the internet to find 3 of the baddest or funniest bad reviews I could for popular games. I'll deliver them one at a time to our special guest of the week this week, David. Play along with us, see if you can figure it out before we get to clue number 3. If you are watching live, do not send your guest until the guest gets to give their final choice at the end of the 3rd prompt. Are you ready for your reviews?
Sure. Totally ready.
All right. First review for a bad review for a beloved game is, it is just a playable A24 movie.
Am I supposed to guess now?
You can guess if you have any ideas, but we can go on to the next one if you're not quite sure.
Is this 12 minutes?
It is not 12 minutes. That's a solid start, though.
Okay.
All right, let's see if the second one brings anything up for you. Can't wait to discuss this with my pastor.
I mean, the clergy thing makes me think maybe Indica.
Okay. Let's see.
Because that's a very theologically deep game.
Sure. A24 vibes. Third one is Waiting for Godot, parentheses, Nun edition, N-U-N.
Yeah, I think I would still go with Indica there.
Lock it in as Indica. You are indeed correct. It is Indica.
Hey,
I had to look for games that I knew you had played.
Through it. Yeah, no, we did that whole we did a whole playthrough of that. Fascinating game, wild game. I could talk about that for hours, but we're not going to do that too.
It is an intriguing one. I'll recommend, and I'll try to remember to link in the VOD version down below to their game review over on Crossfire about this. My bonus guess, if you didn't have any ideas based off of those hints, was just going to be to read your closing remark. I was just going to summarize it and not tell you who it's
my review
from.
back to me.
Just see if you remembered
Man.
what you had written.
See if I remember what I said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So good stuff. Well, chats in the clap indeed. I would love to have anybody else got that. That's a bit of a deep cut in the Indica game. I feel like not many people played that one. That was a bit of a slept on indie. And I would love to see more folks experience it. All right, with that, let's get into our next portion of the show, which is... We got some upcoming releases, some things coming out in the next week or so, or just things coming up in the near future. So the first one we can get started with here is going to be one of yours, David. I didn't get your things in time, though, to get slides. So what's your first
one? No worries. So this is the 3 things I'm excited for that are coming up, right?
Yeah, we can go one at a time.
Yeah, I think the first thing, obviously, as I mentioned before, I'm watching through The Last of Us Season 1 again. I'm excited for The Last of Us Season 2, which is dropping literally a week or so, less than a week after we're recording this. So I'm excited for that and to see how the show goes along with, or maybe different than how the game played.
Yeah, super exciting. And I saw that there was some remarks from Neil Druckmann about that they're taking some different creative liberties because they're wanting to lead towards a potential ending for the game in a next season that the games may never get, which is fascinating.
Yeah, I still want to know if they're eventually going to come out with a Last of Us Part 3 game, because I feel like there's enough story there to go somewhere, but it might never happen. You never know.
I think there is. I just don't know if they will. That's the big question. We'll see. My first one is a movie called Psychotherapy. A struggling writer in the midst of divorce befriends a retired serial killer who incidentally becomes his marriage counselor by day and killing counselor for his next book by night. I don't know. Did you say you've gotten into Severance? I can't remember on Apple.
Oh, yeah. No, I've watched all of Season 1, but I'm starting on Season 2.
Gotcha. So Helly from Severance is in this one as the I believe either the struggling writer or the retired serial killer, and then Steve Buscemi is the other one. And so that's just a hilarious cast between the two of them, and I am on board. All right,
excellent. Second one, I just put things I'm looking forward to. Obviously, summer camps coming up in the next couple months. We're going to be doing summer camps, and I mean, just literally almost 2 months from recording this, we're going to be doing summer camps. So I'm looking forward to summer camps. I don't know if that counts as a thing, but that's what I'm looking forward to.
Totally counts. Whatever counts and works. My second one is one that I had to look up. I had not heard of this, but after looking through some of the upcoming movies, I was intrigued. So this is a movie called Drop. Megan Fahey plays Violet, a widowed mother on her first date in years, who arrives at an upscale restaurant where she's relieved that her date Henry is more charming and handsome than she expected. Their chemistry begins to curdle as Violet begins being irritated and terrorized by a series of anonymous drops to her phone. A hilarious concept that I am so intrigued by the reality of like Black Mirror technology mixed with horror and fun stuff. So I don't know if it'll be any good. It could be a real flop of a time. I think it's made by the Death Day people. So if you liked the Happy Death Day, I think it's a similar vibe to that of like the comedic horror, but I will probably be checking it out.
Yeah, and my last one is looking forward to, and we still have no announced release date, but Subnautica 2. As I mentioned, I've been playing through a lot of Subnautica 1. Really enjoy it. Wonderful story, fabulous gameplay. It feels like Minecraft underwater in some parts, but also, with all of the big world exploration. Beautiful game as well. And we've had a teaser trailer for Subnautica 2. They've said it might come out sometime in 2025, or maybe early access is coming out 2025. I'm hoping maybe a summer 25, but who knows? It's kind of like at this point, like Grand Theft Auto 6. We never know if it's going to come out or when. But they said that Subnautica 2 will probably have multiplayer, if not a co-op. And so we'll see what that looks like when it comes out, if it comes out this year.
Some fun survival there. My last one is Blueprints, which like I said, have already talked about a little bit. But just to give you the quick premise, welcome to Mount Holly, where every dawn unveils a new mystery. Navigate through shifting corridors and ever-changing chambers in this genre-defying strategy puzzle adventure. Will your unpredictable path lead you to the rumored Room 46? Gotta say, I am already thinking about going back home and playing it. So I'd say, so far, I'm on board with the hype.
Yeah, you've gotten me interested in this. blueprints. You know, when I first looked it up, I had to double check because I looked up blueprints, but then I realized it was 2 words, blueprints.
Yeah, definitely got the little pun there, and I'm not quite sure when and if and how it will bring in those elements of the prince thing. Like, we are playing as a young man who has inherited this place, so like maybe he is the prince, maybe someone else is the prince. I don't know yet, but I'm on board. I'm curious, and I can't wait to play more. All right, well, next is our final segment of the show, which is, of course, Meme of the Week. That's right, it's time for our Meme of the Week. Our Meme of the Week this week is from Lizzie. It is a Muppets reference here from Jonathan Edward Durham on Blue Sky. Nobody else's opinion of you means anything. How you feel about you is the only thing that matters. That, and what kind of song the Muppets would sing about you as you stroll through town, obviously. So... a Muppets reference was the one that won out this time. I didn't see if anybody ever went anywhere with presuming what Muppet song might have been ascribed to them, but I do enjoy a good Muppet song. It reminds me, I actually was I was driving home the girls from dance yesterday, and we were listening to songs on Spotify that were kids songs, and Elmo's song popped up, and both of them were like, "What is this?" And I was like, "It's Elmo's song." And they were like, "Well, I don't like it. We're skipping it." And I was like, "We are not skipping Elmo's song. I was like, we're listening to it right now."
I mean, just saying the word Elmo's song or the words Elmo's song, like suddenly triggers music in my brain.
Right? It
Maybe a generational
immediately
thing,
pops in the brain. So I guess I have failed as a father, and I'll have to try again. But currently, we might have to reintroduce them to some Sesame Street and some good old Muppet stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But yes, that is our Meme of the Week. If you would like to be considered for Meme of the Week next week, then be sure to go and join our Discord server, discord.gg/checkpointchurch. Go to the Memes and Goofs channel, post some memes in there. I go and look at the past week or so of memes, pick the one that gets the most reactions. So if you want to be the Meme of the Week, be sure to go use that, get the most reactions, and you could be featured in the next show. With that, we're going to be wrapping this show up with our closing shout out. So any other things that you want to say as far as Crossfire? Quick shout out to where people can find you.
Yeah, no, I mentioned crossfire.camp is probably the easiest way. If you just go to crossfire.camp, you can see a lot of stuff on there. We've got a Discord community, a Discord server. As I mentioned, we got a Minecraft server. Would love to have people jump in there. But basically, crossfire.camp is the best way to find out the latest stuff going on with Crossfire. And yeah, just thank you again for letting me highlight the stuff we're doing with camp, highlight Crossfire a little bit, and to join you on This Week in Gaming. Really enjoyed just spending time chatting games with you.
Totally. And appreciate you being here as well. Folks, this has been Twig, your weekly Geekly Family news show delivered live on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch and on YouTube each and every week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerdy news. If you watched this far, you probably liked this one. Remember to give us a 5-star on your podcast app. Click that like button. Remember to recommend the show to all of your favorite nerds out there. Folks, we appreciate everybody that watches the show, supports the show, clicks that like button, leaves comments. We want to give an extra special shout out to folks that also throw some bones our way. So our financial subscribers over on Twitch, our members over on YouTube, or those that do both. Thank you over on Twitch to Buish, Tina Christina P, Coyote42, Checkpoint Church, Twilight27, DGC 121996, Mine from Marlena, Trombone Dalek, Maybe 30 Bats, Wise and Lemur, Nerd Pastor Nate, Perspective, Gobi Church, Resident Catholic 2192, Joanna the Scribbler, Xando Calrissian, and Sneaky Pig 633. Thank you to our YouTube member Leanne, and thank you to both Nerd Pastor Nate and Twyla. Is there going to be Twig next week? No, I'm going out of town for a couple days for spring break with my wife and the family. We're going to be going to the beach, and so I do not have time to prep Twig next week, but we will be back the following week after that with a return from a level 2 member that has not been a part of the show for quite a while and has since finished up school and is excited to be joining us. So with that, we're going to end this with that, we're going to end this one as we always do with our 3 things that we believe about every single one of you out there, whether you believe in church, believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God, hate church, no matter what. We believe these 3 things to be true about you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. That's what we're doing here. And number 3, that you, yes, you, no matter who you are or where you've been or what you've done, you matter. You're a person of sacred worth. The world's a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, thanks so much for watching and being part of the show. Thank you to David from Crossfire for being a part of the show. Thanks to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. And I look forward to seeing y'all next week, but the week after with some more Twig. Until next time, bye-bye.